Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. And today we're talking Earth Sugar with Jennifer Myers. We've got products here. I love when we have show and tell. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, your energy is palatable.
Thank you.
I said I was coming in with low energy today, and I think I'm going to leave on a high. Not because of the sugar, because of your personality.
I'm a little firecracker.
I love it. I typically am, and today I'm dragon, so this is perfect. So if you take some time to introduce yourself, tell us about Earth Sugar, and then I've got a lot of questions around the backstory and the product line, and we've already had a chance to make a little connection with Brooklyn, New York. So just lean in and tell us who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Jennifer Myers. I'm 27 years old. I am the founder, and I call myself the chief confectionist of Earth Sugar. We are a superfood confectionery based right in Tempe, Arizona, just 7 minutes down the street from here, actually, is where we do all of our manufacturing. We create organic, gluten-free, raw vegan snacks, desserts, confections. We use no refined sugar, no chemicals, no artificial sweeteners. Everything is just fruits, nuts, seeds, whole-based foods, really digestible, really, really delicious. My goal was to create absolutely delicious alternatives, really just to the desserts that are out there and the snacks and the sweets and kind of all this stuff that really doesn't serve people and their day-to-day lives. But I do believe in pleasure and things that taste good and, things that make you feel good. So that was kind of my goal, was to create this intersection of health and happiness.
At 27 years old.
Yeah.
What? Wow. So you sit right between my oldest two, 28, 26. We already got to talk about Brooklyn, and my daughter Madison had been there about the same time you were there in the middle of the pandemic. And then I was reading your bio earlier. You were led to this opportunity through your own health journey.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I come from my family had a butcher shop growing up, German, Austrian background. I grew up literally eating only hot dogs, rolls, chicken fingers and French fries and German candy for about 10 years of my life. It's all I would consume. My parents tried to get me to eat vegetables, and it was a hard stop. I'd rather eat a cold hot dog out of the fridge. It was crazy. Just drinking mustard. And then I turn 11, 12. I start to go through puberty, and my stomach just starts getting a little weird. I would eat food, and then I would get a little nauseous. Next thing you know, I have really bad gas. I have acid reflux. It just became like a host of issues. And my mom was like, all right, this is weird. Let's take you to a nutritionist. And so I'm 12. So this was like, 14, 13 years ago. So way before people really talked about nutrition and food elimination and diets like that. So she was kind of before her time, and she told me to take things out like gluten, soy, dairy, processed foods.
All the things you were eating.
All the only things I were eating. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go gluten-free. I'd walking around high school, and all of our lunches there were just sandwiches, chicken poppers, fried French fries. So for about 2 years, I would only eat the carrots at lunch, and then I just wouldn't eat. I was really skinny. And it was really kind of sad and weird because I would talk about it and then I get picked on a bit about it. So I was like, okay, maybe I just don't have this, and I just push it back a bit. But then it just kept getting worse and worse because, I tried to go to the pizza parties, tried to go on dates, tried to drink beer in the basement like everyone else did in high school, and it just was totally wrecking me.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, either I choose to feel like this forever or I choose to do something about it. And I was just so excited that I had a purpose kind of like, okay, I'm going to do something now. Like this, it was kind of fun for me because I wasn't really good at anything else. I was good at writing and talking, and, I was kind of average in every other category. So I was like, here's something that I can really learn. And it just became this crazy, really fun obsession of mine.
So fascinating. And again, we talked about my daughter also has gone through a lot of autoimmune challenges. We think we've landed on what it is after 8 years of doctor's appointments and not feeling well, and same thing, cutting out things and doing elimination diets. So you two have a lot in common.
There's a lot of us out there now. There's millions.
Well, that's what I wanted to pause and say. I'm guessing that our listeners, if it's not them who's dealing with some sort of inflammation or gastro issues, digestive issues, they know somebody very close to them who is. And you said it so beautifully. I know Madison felt like that many times, like maybe I'm just crazy. And some of
Yes.
the doctors, without saying those words
Mhm.
specifically, would leave her feeling like she was crazy. We'd get to the car and she'd bawl her eyes out.
Oh, that was my life for 15 years. I mean, my poor mother went through like, I can't
awful.
even, it was horrible. And I did think I was crazy. I flat out thought it was me. I was like, maybe I had childhood trauma,
Yep.
or maybe it was like something that happened to me that I just, I didn't know about. And that itself, that thought right there weighed so heavily on me for years, because I was like, I'm putting my whole family through hell. I'm putting myself through hell. I'm 98 pounds right now. What the heck has happened? And, throwing away career opportunities because I was going through so many problems. But that's what would happen. I've went to like 25 specialists. I
Yep.
even saw specialists in Australia because I was like gung-ho about figuring this out. And I saw the top professional at Gotham Medical Associates in New York City. I waited 8 months for that appointment. And I was so excited. I had like, because I documented
All of your
everything. I
ledgers.
had like all my ledgers, like to the T of like how many times I pooped that day, like
Yeah.
water, it's crazy. And he was like, okay, well, I don't really know what we can do for you here. You just have IBS. And he prescribed me this like anti-constipation pill. He told me that no matter what I ate, it wouldn't matter. He said that to me. He's like, it doesn't matter what you eat. And I was like, I was so heated up after that. My mom had to like talk me off the ledge, because I was like, I was like freaking out. I'm like, this man, this
Yes.
professional just told me that it doesn't matter what I do, I will forever have this problem. And I just couldn't believe that was true, because I've seen people heal and I've seen people thrive and who've had problems and grown out of it. But on the flip side, I also saw in the last 5-10 years of my own personal life, a huge influx of people that I've known becoming sick. And not just like, ooh, I have a stomach ache. It's like autoimmune. It's like cancer, hospitalization, Crohn's, arthritis, diabetes, lupus, like really crazy diagnoses that weren't that common years ago. And I'm sure, the data is better now. But, I know a lot of people who could eat whatever they want a couple of years ago. And now they're like, wow, I literally can't have anything without feeling like I'm going to die.
Yep. Very close friends of mine. We've had these conversations daily about how they're having to really take a look at what are they feeding themselves and how is that impacting their life. It starts off a little bit, I'm groggy, I don't feel great, lacking interest in things that they used to enjoy. And then the physical things start to show up typically for people. What's sad for me is not everybody makes a decision to get serious about it and knows that they can cure themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously, neither of us are doctors, so I'm not going to overspeak. And at the same time, when we say, I'm going to choose to be healthy and I'm going to find what I need to do to get healthy, there's a lot of opportunity for products and food that are healthy. So tell us about the research behind this. And you went to work, you hunkered down. Did you know you wanted it to be on the sweet side originally?
So no, but I wanted to touch on one thing you said, because I thought the same thing. I was like, why are all these people not wanting to get healthy? Because I was so determined to cure myself. It was like, I want to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that even when I had like really severe relapses with my stomach, where it was like 3, 4, 5 weeks of chronic pain in a row, I was a different human being. And it was really hard to get out of it, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally.
It's important.
And now that I have my boyfriend Joey in my life, I have people who can help me when I go down and I'm getting really sick, and I have a support system. But back then, when I was like 16, 17, I felt like I wanted to rip my body off of my bones. Like I felt so disgusting that I didn't care what happened to me after that point. And it was really hard to pull myself back. And I've always credited I am a very strong person. I don't know where I probably get it from my mom and my grandma, but I am a really, really strong person. And there's been times where I was like, holy cow, if I didn't have this mentality, I don't know where I would have been. I could have been 60 pounds of just not ever wanting to eat any food. And that was always really scary to me, is making sure that my brain space was healthy and staying in this mindset of, no, we have to heal. Like, no matter how bad this gets, like, you will heal. And that's what I see now. In America is we do have a prevalence of unhealthy tendencies. But the one mantra that got me through it was, it's not you, it's your food. It's not you binge eating. It's not you having these insane cravings. And, like, you didn't ask for this. You didn't ask for a chemist to sit in a lab for 3 years trying to figure out how to chemically design natural flavors and these different types of ingredients to make sure that if you ate one Tostito, you'd finish the whole bag and open another one. That's not you. That's totally not you. So if anyone is struggling with that, like, I can't get healthy, like, once you stop blaming yourself and you realize, holy cow, these people who I looked up to heal me or feed me don't care about me, and I need to be the one who cares about me, then you're able to be like, okay, even if it's hard to juice or whatever you got to do to kind of get back to baseline, you'll figure it out. And so with Earth Sugar, I wanted to do this. I mean, since I was 14, I was writing about these things in my journal because for me, my diet was always so limited. I mean, I was eating like 5 to 6 different foods, dry chicken, apples without the skin, boiled, zucchini boiled, string beans, bone broth, coconut oil, like stuff to just basically sustain. So as a means of coping, and I was a writer, so I would write in my journal stories. I would just make up ideas about me going to the bar with a new boyfriend, drinking margaritas and tacos. And then I always had an affinity with the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because because my grandma, she was a school teacher. We wrote a lot of like stories and plays when I was a young girl. And she would always get me ice cream cake. We would like literally cut it in half and I would eat a whole half. It was disgusting, but that's what we would do. Like we would like bond over chocolate and then it was gone for me forever. Like I didn't even have anything that was even a little bit enjoyable. So I wrote a story once that was called Willy's Ex-Wife. And the premise was that Willy Wonka had a wife who over time, after being in the factory with him and eating all the candy, she starts to develop IBS and inflammation. So she's like, screw you, Willy, I'm divorcing you. I'm buying the factory right next door and I'm going to turn it into a healthy emporium where fruit is candy, hemp seeds are sprinkles, but she's going to make it so fun that all the little kids aren't going to know that they're actually eating healthy foods. So I wrote this whole story. I was like, I remade all the products, the ideas, the concepts, and it just became this obsession. Like when I was in Brooklyn, it was on my walls, clip outs, like colors, everything, recipe ideas. If I had the ability to build something that huge, but this came from that. That's of incredible. Me always being like, when I heal, I'm going to heal the world. It was just that. Yeah.
Well, I have no doubt you're doing that. So let's talk about what we have here. These are the energy bars, and there's several different flavors: classic crunch, choco cherry, cinnamon raisin, and banana bread. I'm getting clues from Daryl to play Vanna White.
Yeah. And this is just 4 of the products we have. We also have a peachy berry flavor, which is a golden berry that's really rich in antioxidants. It's really sour, tart, very vibrant. We do have a pumpkin spice and apple pie dropping soon because for fall.
Of course.
And we do this almond butter. I call it my caramel snack cake. It's this raw vegan, just really nutritionally dense, but like tastes like a brownie. Like I have people eat that who are Oreo eaters and they're like, what are you're a witch.
Yeah. Can I open this while we're chatting?
Yeah,
I just want to see what it looks like. And where are you? Oh, wow. That looks really fantastic.
There's a couple of really cool things about our bars. How the bars happened, because I never wanted to really make a bar. But what happened is I first developed I was trying to make like a little pie. Because my boyfriend Joey was like, oh, well, if you're gonna make something, make a pie. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, I've always had an affinity for raw creating, not cooking, because when I first started getting healthy, I lived at Penn State, and I lived in a dorm smaller than this room with another girl. Penn State had 0 gluten-free options, which was crazy because the school was huge. And I would walk to all the corridors, like the commons, to try to find snacks. They only had gluten-free pretzels and gluten-free buns. And I was like, okay, what the heck? So my mom would actually ship me up food in the mail for about 2 months. My poor mother, she was shipping me up and like weird stuff too, like Fruit Loops, Hot Pockets, like gluten-free granola, and all of it had like sugar. And because no gluten-free things back then were like, good, like healthy. And I didn't know how to do anything yet. So I was just trying to just find quick food. So it's like, I can't do this anymore. And then what happened is I bought a blender And I was like, okay, it's me and my blender. I plugged it into the wall and I was like, what can I do in this thing? And I literally fed myself out of a blender for a year. Like I would go to Wegmans, come back, and I figured out like just raw stuff like fruits, vegetables. I made salads in my kitchen and in my dorm.
Yeah.
Just stuff that didn't require heat. So that's how I ended up, cooking. And forever, like moving forward to even then, like as I got into my own apartment, I just really barely turned on the oven because I loved the, chopping. I loved things with texture. I really got to learn about food because once you're not cooking, things change when you cook. So when it's raw, you really have to understand how the stuff's going to stick together, different types of flavors, and it's really pretty. Like it's just cakes are beautiful, and I was like, oh, I just want to do raw desserts. So I'm making this pie. And I do this crust. I just throw all my favorite ingredients in a blender. Mesquite powder has been one of my favorite ingredients for years.
Mesquite
so I
powder.
throw it in the blender. Yeah. So mesquite trees, the
Right.
trees all over Arizona, those pods, those annoying pods in everyone's backyards that they complain about. If you grind those up, they create mesquite powder or flour, which was used as a sweetener. It's a regular flour, so you can actually bake with it 1-to-1, same swap as
What?
traditional flour. It was a staple in Western diets for centuries up until the Industrial Revolution, and then white flour started coming in, and we stopped really kind of like navigating our own food systems. But it's high in protein, it's low glycemic, it's great for diabetics, and it smells wonderful. So I was just like, I'm gonna throw this in there. Make this pie crust, smack it into this tray, and I go to the bathroom. I come back, Joey's eating the crust, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, because he always does that. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Why are you eating the crust?" He ate the whole thing, and I was like, "Dude, I was gonna make you pie." He's like, "That was perfect. I don't need anything else." And I was like, "Huh." So I was like, "Okay." So I was like, I'm going to start a company. And I'm like, I just wanted to do it. Right. So, and I had the name Earth Sugar. It was something that I had said it actually in Colorado. We were on a ski trip, and Joey, I was on my rants about food, as they always, like, whenever you hang out with me, I'm ranting about something. So I was like, oh, why don't people just eat like earth foods? I don't get why we just don't eat earth sugar, like apples and fruits. And then I was like, oh, earth sugar. I was like, that's cool. And I was like, trademark.
I do that too. I wake up in the middle of the night. This is a brilliant idea. Go look at GoDaddy, grab the URL.
Yep, did the whole thing.
Several of them are sitting there not doing anything.
Yeah, me too. I was just like, in case this is what I want to do, I'm gonna like everything. I just was like, I'm gonna do it. And then so I was like, okay, well, I have this bar idea, or it wasn't a bar yet. It's still a slab at this point. It's a slab of pie crust, right? So, and I'm literally, that's how I'm making it for people. I'm making a big slab. I'm cutting it with like a knife, and I'm sending it through the mail in a Ziploc bag. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I should try to see if people want to buy this for me. So I go on Facebook. I'm like, hi guys, I started this company, Earth Sugar, blah, blah, blah. It does this. This is the goal, healthy vegan treats. If you want to try samples, Venmo me $25 so I can send you a little box. And I thought I was going to get like 5 people. I got like 80 or something like that. It was crazy. So, and by this time I was back home in New Jersey. So I run home. I'm like, Mom, I need the kitchen. She's like, what did you do? And so I have my blender. I have all my ingredients. I have my notebooks from 7 years. So I'm combing through my notebooks, and all of my favorite recipes that I have made were in there. So I basically just started by making my 5 favorite things. This bar was in there. My sunflower crunchies, which I also sell, a version of that was in there. And then like I don't know, some like peanut butter ball or something, which didn't really work. But so I deliver all this stuff all over New Jersey. And the next day I text all my, my customers and my friends, and I'm like, what did you think? And they're like, whatever this slab was the best thing I've ever had. So I was like, okay, cool. That's my first product. Yeah. So I was like, all right, now I'm going to take this slab and I'm going to bring it down to the coffee shop. I lived in the Biltmore area first when I first moved here. Come and See Coffee was downstairs. So I was like, maybe he wants to sell this. So I bring him. So I'm like, well, I can't sell it in this like slab. So I cut a smaller portion. I put it in this big brown like bag, and I put a sticker on it. And I walk down and go to the barista, and I'm like, hello, sir. Like, I made this. Would you sell this here? He's like, I'll try it. He tries it. I had made up some flavors. He tries them all. He's like, this is the best thing I've ever had. He goes, but this is stupid. He like looks, he's like, I can't sell this. He's like, oh, no. If you put this, and he goes, if you turn this into a bar, I'll put this in 6 of my locations. What? And I'm like, what? And so that was the CEO of the coffee chain that I was speaking to. Wow. And he doesn't live here, he lives in LA. So he was just here for a 30-minute window when I decided to walk downstairs. So I was like, oh my God. And I run home. I'm like, Joey, I'm kind of excited, but we also have a problem. Because at this point, I'm working out of my apartment, which is legal in Arizona under the Cottage Pantry Act. If you're doing raw foods or stuff that has a low moisture, which is why I started doing raw foods specifically. It was all working in my favor. I was like, oh my God, I could do this out of my apartment. It's legal. This is wonderful. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to figure out what to do. So I had a magazine background from Penn State. I would graphic design. And I had all these ideas for my whole life just thinking about it. So I developed all my packaging. I called companies. I got the boxes made. I figured out how to make bars at scale, smash them with my own hands. From slab to bars. I trolled around the Container Store to try to find a mold that I liked. And we ended up finding this baby food mold that I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. So I'm using this mold. And within a month, I had delivered him product, and he was like looking at it. He's like, earth sugar. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't think people are gonna like this. And I was like, I just made this up, so I don't know if they're gonna like it either. But the next day, I did my first farmers market at Carefree, and that was October 1st last year. So this October will be my 1 year since I literally even made this up. And yeah, and it was like I started the markets, and we had a line. Like the first day, people were like, "Oh my God!" Like, how long have you been in business?
It's groovy packaging, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was just the colors, the taste, the flavor, the allergens, the the
ingredients are fascinating. So cashews, dates, coconut, bananas, mesquite, which I'm fascinated by, cacao nibs, maple syrup, sea salt crystals, and I'm sure it varies a little bit with each of the things. A year.
Yeah. And now we're in 40 stores. We ship nationwide.
Daryl, did you introduce her to Laura yet?
Yeah, I got to talk to Laura. I was busy this month.
Yeah, you two would. I mean, you have such a similar passion, and she's a great person to know.
In any way I can connect with people like that, it's always really exciting.
Right. And then there was somebody else I was going to ask if Daryl had connected you with already. My mind is just reeling with, and clearly you don't need a whole lot of guidance because you're flying already. Wow, exciting. 40 different stores.
Yeah. So, and not only in Arizona, we're in stores in California, Los Angeles, Texas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey.
A lot of it word of mouth?
Yeah, pretty much all of it word of mouth. Half of those accounts actually reached out to me, which was, I mean, the coolest thing ever, because they met me either in person or at the market, or they were my customers. And why I did it this way is, it's funny. All of my past jobs have now informed my future in ways in which I can't even,
That's Phoenix Business Radio for me.
Yeah.
Same thing. A culmination of everything that I've ever done landed right here in this room.
Yeah.
2 rooms before this one.
And I didn't even know I had the skills that I had until I started doing it. And I was like, darn, I'm good at this. And I was like, that's so cool. Yeah. And so, like, I just was like, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do wholesale now. And I spent like a month just walking into every single store, meeting all the local business owners, whoever were kind of in our realm that would make sense there, but also like yoga studios. And then, coffee shops are huge for us, hotels in the front of the hotel chains, little grocery stores, boutique stores, juice bars.
Yep.
We have a juice bar in Texas called Raw Republic, and they sell so many cakes and bars. It's so cool to see, people in Texas and LA, people DMing me being like, oh my God, I found your bar in Los Angeles. Like, you were the coolest person ever. And I'm like, that is so cool. Yeah. And then I have all of my friends back in Bergen County and that whole community. I mean, it's just been awesome. They're ordering from me. I'm just going to be on the cover of Northern Valley Living magazine next month, and my whole family was on it. So they did like a whole family feature, which was great. And to have this much like love be received from it, like, I can't even tell you, my emails, my text messages, people cry at my farmers market table when they try my bars, because a lot of the people are like me, who've been so restricted for so many years that they have nothing that is exciting for them. So that's why I did the rainbow and the colors and the brightness and the stickers I do. And like, every time you get a package, I want that to bring you joy, because for me, like, I didn't have that forever. Like, all of my happiness, a lot of this was just personal self-work that I did. It was all self-generated, because I didn't really have a lot of, outside things that like really helped me during that time, because I was just very isolated. Like, no one knew about health. In my family, really, we're all trying to figure it out. I didn't have any friends that were particularly healthy. Yeah. So I did pretty much all of this navigating by myself. And then, now I have a lot more resources, but it was just really cool. Like, that I'm that person now that people call or text or look up to. And I'm like, holy cow. Like, I wish I had me back then, because I didn't believe for a really long time that I would be where I am now, where it's like, my stomach's fine for the most part. And I do have days, like if I have a weekend where I eat something that, and I do still maintain like a very careful diet. But if I do have anything that kind of sets me off, even then it's not as bad as it used to be. It used to be, oh my God, it used to be everything. It used to be the only thing that I thought of. And now the space that I've created in my brain for other things to grow, it's like, oh my God, I don't have time for that. Like, don't slow me down.
Amazing. Social media. So we talked, you shared that a lot of this is word of mouth, people reaching out. How are you utilizing social media and that presence? I would imagine that's benefiting you. And what platforms are you on?
Yeah, we do Instagram, trying TikTok. I have a lot of people who want me to do more like speaking engagement type things. So once I have a little bit more free time, like I'm trying to really speak more like just on video. I am writing a little book called Looking Like a Snack, which I actually talk about the snack industry, like how it was created, like why snacks are what they are, and like how we got from, just eating chips to like what we have in the store now. It's really, really fascinating. And I love learning about those types of things because it makes it, I feel like it stops people from being like, oh my God, I just have to follow a diet. I have to do this. I have to do paleo. I have to do keto. I am vegan. You start to own these titles. And that could be really damaging if you're experiencing a diet that's not working for you. You're not checking in, but you've made it your whole life, and it's in your Instagram bio, and and then these companies, they're like, they attack that. They're like, this can have a tribe. How do we tribalize these things? And that's why everyone now is fighting. Their ketos are fighting the vegans are fighting the carnivores, and the one thing that we should all have in common is the quality of our food and where, who we're supporting with our dollar. Because food is a political opinion. Like where you shop, where you purchase food is a political opinion. But because food is so special and it's so treasured, and it's, it has all these emotion attached to it, we don't think about that. So, we can be all political, we could be all riled up about things, and then we'll still go buy Oreos, or we'll still go buy, pizza from a place like Domino's or whatever these places are that aren't really out to take care of us, because their marketing tells you that they are. But at the end of the day, I always say, like, if you have a human cooking food who doesn't like human beings, that's a problem. Like I feel like I have one of the most important jobs. Like I am making what is going to be part of you. And that I take really, really seriously.
Are you part of Local First Arizona?
I recently did an event with them, but I don't think I'm a part of the organization.
So you're the female version of Thomas Barr,
really?
Which is super cool. His passion is, local businesses, of course, and business owners. And yours is food. We need to make that introduction as well. Thomas does his show, Arizona Good Business, with us every couple of months. There's a lot of energy and synergy there. And equally important, you are an Arizona darling, an Arizona snack. And that's what Kimber and Thomas are all about, making sure that we are supporting local businesses, right? Yes. So we'll need to make that introduction. And I know there's one more, but it'll come to me later.
I love that. Arizona's so cool like that. That's why I stayed. I came here on a one-way ticket on vacation, and I was like, I'm staying.
And so you met your boyfriend here?
Yeah. So that was crazy. So I'm living in Brooklyn. I'm like, I got to get out of here. Like, this is where my soul goes to die. Like, some people love New York. It was like not for me. I was holed up in my little apartment, and the sky was gray. And I was like, I need the sunshine. I need to wear my colorful sundresses and skip around the street. So I'm like,
I need to be a snack.
I need to be a snack. So I was always obsessed with Sedona. I used to do a lot of Tai Chi. So in my Tai Chi studio, there was this big picture of Sedona up on the wall. And I was like, I'm going to go there. But then they quoted me like $6,000. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm never going to go there. But then, so I'm on Instagram one day, and this guy, Joey Rizzo from my high school, DMs me, my boyfriend now. And he's like, oh, have you ever been to Arizona? Like, he just brought it up casually, because that's what he does. I've now come to learn that he wasn't hitting on me. He just does that. He just brings up, you should come here, because he loves this place so much. He wants to tell everyone about it. So I was like, Arizona, that's close to Sedona. I was like, Phoenix, I think they're close. Okay. Booked a one-way ticket to Phoenix. And I was like, I'll be there on Monday. And he's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to be there on Monday. And he goes, oh, do you want to ride from the airport? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want dinner? I'm like, yeah. So he picks me up from the airport at like 12 at night with dinner, a gluten-free bun, like a burger. I was like, this kid is great. I was like, who is this? And so we went to high school together and never met. We never spoke. We never crossed paths. He's 3 years older than me. He grew up door to door, 0.4 miles from house. Yeah, never talked. Dated like 2 guys on his baseball team, and I never did know him. So I get out here. He's the first person I meet when I get off the plane. He gives me dinner, drops me off my Airbnb. He's like, do you want to come to 5:30 hot yoga in the morning? And I'm like, I love him. I'm like, yeah, I want to go.
Real? Yeah.
I want to, because this is all I do is I go to yoga, I eat veggies, and I'm a total like little hippie dork like that. So I was like, yes. And then I was like on this like girl power journey. So he's a big hiker. So he's like, well, if you really want to experience Arizona, this is all the stuff you have to do. And he gave me like a 75-point list of like hike every mountain. And I hiked every damn mountain in this state my month out here. I drove to Tucson by myself, Flagstaff, Sedona, ran up and down Camelback, Superstitions, like at Grand Canyon, like literally everything. And he was like, this chick is crazier than I am. I think I love her. And then we went to Sedona together one weekend. He was just showing me around. And we like both got ATVs. We like ripped it for 6 hours. We're covered in dirt. We're running up the mountains. And he's like, I've never met anyone like you. And we literally fell in love in like 2 weeks. It was crazy. And I was like, oh, this sucks. I came out here doing like a girl trip. I downloaded all my dating apps and I was like, delete. It was like, I literally found my universe partner. It was so cool. He's my best friend. And then so I was out here for a month, like just hopping around Airbnbs. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to move here. So I got an apartment and then I called my parents. I was like, hey guys, so long story. They're like, where are you? Because at this point I wasn't really telling them what I was doing because I had to at the time. I was like, I need to just go somewhere and like get this out of my system. Like, don't bother me. But I called my dad. I'm like, hey dad, so long story, but I have a boyfriend now. And I'm moving to, he was like, what? But now they say that they're so happy that I just booked it out here because there was nothing for me back there in New Jersey. And like, I needed to go do this. Like I've been talking about doing something silly like this forever. So Joey was like, okay, let's fly back to New Jersey together, grab your stuff and road trip. So we flew back to New Jersey. I drove to Brooklyn, literally gave away my stuff. I was like, friends, take it. I don't want it. It's got bad juju. Take it. I'll restart. Put all my journals, my clothes, my blender, my dehydrator in my Subaru. And we did a 13-day road trip from New Jersey to Phoenix. We drove down the coast of Florida and then across. And it was so cool because it was still during the height of COVID. So no one was out. Like we were alone on the highway. We were staying in the fanciest hotels for like $100 a night, like eating like fancy steak dinners. We slept on the beach. I was like, it was literally a fairy tale. We were having so much fun just on top of each other for like 12 days. And then I came here and we were just together. And then that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start this business. And he's like, well, let's go to the farmer's market. So I'm walking around the market and I'm like, dude, I think I can make some money here. Like I'm an East Coast girl. I can talk, I can sell, maybe I'll give this a shot. So that's like how this all started is I'm like, I just ran up to the booth. I was like, hi, I'm Jenny. I have an idea. Can I join your market? And they were like, yeah, you're fun. Christina, she's my girl. She does the Old Town Farmers Markets. Like she was the first person I met and she was like, here's my email. Whatever you do, you got to sell it. And then I just started the markets and then I was like making money, like real money where I was paying my rent. Like I didn't have to go get a job. Like I was making money. I was like, oh my God, I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I think I got a business. He's like, just keep going, kid. I'm like, all right.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Joey. I got to meet this Joey.
Yeah, he's the best. He's incredible. He works for me pretty much full time and he has his own full-time job because he's remote. He works in mortgage. So he was working out of my apartment while I was making bars.
Yeah.
And I converted my whole first apartment to a kitchen. Like he wasn't allowed to touch anything. I'm like, this is your corner. Don't leave your corner. You can't go near the stove. You can't touch anything. Like I would yell at him all the time. So eventually we're like, okay, we can't do this in the apartment anymore. So this is another cool universe thing. I'm like calling commercial kitchens because I'm like, okay, I need a kitchen. And this is like a big step because, I'm going from my apartment to a real space. And I've never had a kitchen before. I've worked in food labs, but not like a kitchen. That's mine. So I like called the shared kitchens, and a lot of the shared kitchens in Arizona, the issue is that there's no 100% gluten-free, allergen-free kitchens. They're all shared by a lot of businesses, a lot of cross-contamination. And my one thing was like, I need to be in a clean space. So I'm like looking into kitchens and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of money. Like, how the heck am I going to do this? Because I didn't really want to get any investment yet. Like, I wanted to just try the idea. I have no personal debt, so I was like, I don't want to mess with that. Like, let's keep this in the good spot. So I'm just like calling, and I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. Like, what am I going to do? Out of the blue, I see this little ad pop up, and it's from the Tempest Hotel that they're renting out their kitchen space because they don't use it. So I call the guy. His name is Tori, the manager, and he's like, well, yeah, we're renting it out, but it's kind of been an issue because it doesn't have an oven, doesn't have a stove, you can't cook. And I'm like, what does it have? He's like, it's got everything else, the floor drain, tables. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to see this space right now. So I hang up, I drive over there, I walk in, and I'm like, this is my kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want it. I'm like, this is perfect. It's literally built for a raw operation. There's just tables, plugs, it has the three-phase power, everything I needed, fridges, everything, like freezer, fridge. I was like, dude, are you kidding? Like, I can have this for rent? And he's like, yeah, just this is the rent. And I was like, oh my God, yes, like I'm moving in. And then we moved in and I was like, bam, I have a business. I got a kitchen, I got a permit, I got everything. We registered with the FDA. And I was like, oh my God, like there's nothing in our way now. So we just like hit the gas. So back to the bars too. So how we make them, we built our own air compressor because they're raw. So I'm still at this point, when I get in the kitchen, I'm still doing this with my fingers, smashing it with a baby kid
Right.
container. So I'm like, I have carpal tunnel at this point, and I'm crying every night to Joey. I'm like, can you help me figure this out? And I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. So we're walking around a carnival in Mesa, and we're getting lemonade, and I hear this like and I look over, and this guy's smashing lemons with a hydraulic press. And we run into him, and we're like, hello, introduce ourselves. We're like, can we please borrow your lemonade smasher? Because I think this might work for what we're doing. He just gives it to us for 2 weeks. He lets us just play with it. So we take it to Home Depot. We're like, okay, we need, so my dad's a plumber. So I'm like, Dad, I need a hydraulic press. I'm like, what am I looking for? He's like, okay, you need an air compressor, this and that, and make sure it has to be food grade. So it needs this cover and this portion and blah, blah, blah. We bring it to the metal fabricator. I'm like, I need this fixed. I need this size. And then Joey brings it to the kitchen, and we smash our first bar, and I literally started hysterical crying. I was like, oh my God, like this worked. I'm like, I couldn't believe it worked. So it's my whole kitchen's raw, and it just presses with air. So we just all day long, smashing thousands of bars with an air compressor. So we just blend, we air compress, we press it, we smash it, and then we just wrap it, and then that's it. That's done. So it's like the easiest. It's so fun to do. I love producing.
And how do your arms feel?
It's so much better now. Now, what's funny is now we're making a lot more cakes. So I had to get acupuncture in my shoulder.
Because now it's like a shoulder issue.
Because now it's a shoulder issue. So now it's just moved to a different spot. But we're going to do the same concept. They just got to get a bigger, circular mold, press it down. And that was really cool when that happened, because I had called 15 co-packers who told me that I would never be able to scale my bar. He's like, you're never going to be able to do this. Never, ever, ever, ever. You need an extruder. You need a 100. That's like $180,000 machine, by the way, an extruder or a slab line. And then you can lease it, or you can pay in installments. And it was like $13,000 a month installments. I was like, yeah, right. So like for us to do this was so cool. And like to scale it now, like we're just getting multiple air compressors. Like one human being, I make about 1,000 bars a day. Sometimes I can make more depending on how much we're blending. And now we're just getting the bigger machine parts, and things are getting more heavy and legitimized. Like, oh, my date pace is so big. Like but it's awesome. I'm an athlete. I did CrossFit for years. So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing in the kitchen, I'm like, I've been training for this forever.
Oh my gosh. So you've got quite an Arizona community. I mean, you have communities, little pockets of communities, wherever you've spent time. But I love that you've highlighted your Arizona people.
Oh my God, I love them. Like they're my family, especially Old Town, because that was where I first really started to get like true fans and friends. Just people coming to my table. Like I'm setting up at 8 and I have a line, just people wanting to talk to me. And that was like so cool. Like people email me like, hey, how are you? Are you still doing well? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. Like, thank you for checking in, or, putting me on Fox News, putting me in magazines. Like all of my press has also been organic from my customers. A lot of the journalists were my customers, or one of my customers, he used to be in PR. So he just sends out my bio to people just because he's like, this girl's so cool. You have to meet her. And I mean, like, where else does that happen? What other
Arizona.
state does that happen? Not
it
in LA
doesn't.
and New York,
Arizona.
that's for sure.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Not everybody has your vibrant personality. However, we do hear a lot of stories like this around how much magic people feel through Arizona connections.
Yeah, it's rare.
Bob Faby we had on not too long ago. He has an incredible company, Faby Insights, and they're all around dignity and communication and wellness. And I think he and his wife have been here. Daryl, do you remember, like 6 years, 7 years? I might be off, but the same thing. He's felt like, this is home. I've been here since '79, a transplant from Northern California.
Yeah.
And Arizona is home to me. I just thought of the other two introductions. Arizona Sustainability Alliance.
Oh, yes.
You already know them?
I met someone in that organization. I have his business card, but we haven't had a formal meeting yet.
A formal meeting is a must. We just had them on last week, I believe.
Very cool.
And they have part of their educational program is around, food source and obviously sustainable foods. So that's be a great conversation. And dang it, if I can't remember the other one I just had a second ago. I don't remember. It'll come to me. Yes. So clearly you're on your way. Thriving and having a smile that supports everything that you're doing and a great team. What introductions, if you did look into the future and you said, okay, I need to start connecting with these organizations or these people, who is that for you?
I'm really just trying to connect with, obviously, more store owners. What I do is kind of what you do is, like, I love to send my customers to other businesses. Like, I do my own press to send business to other places because I don't want to have a store. I just want everyone to have, their own love and their own connection with the product and their customers. So that's powerful whenever I can find someone who's willing to, open up their space or to bring the bars into their space and sell it to their customers. Yeah. Also, anybody who kind of like organizes any health related events, any, wellness events. I always kind of give snacks to like the yoga events and the hiking events and pretty much anywhere where there's just some type of good vibe and good energy around, there can be a snack. So I really like teaming up with those kinds of people. I'm also really trying to get more kids to be involved. Kids love my snacks. My whole thing was tricking. Yeah, I wanted to trick them into thinking it was a candy bar, which it's so funny because that's what moms say. They're like, they think this is candy. And I'm like, that is exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah. Because at the beginning, people were like, oh, well, it's healthy. Shouldn't it be like more earthy looking, like brown and green? And I was like, yeah, but then it's going to end up stuck on a shelf like everything else out there. I'm like, why not make it fun? Like, why not get people excited about doing something different? So kids absolutely love the bars, which like every time a kid likes it and doesn't spit it out, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah. So Bare Essential News, maybe Daryl can connect you with Kelly, not Lorenzen, Kelly Green with SciTech Institute. Thank you. And they do a lot of writing for Bare Essential News. That'd be a fun article for someone to write an article about you. It's a K8, maybe K6 newsletter. And I remember the other introduction, Dory Morales with Green Living Magazine.
I actually think they're writing an article on me. Yeah, I just finished my interview.
I'm sure she would love it.
Yeah. Anytime I can talk about my story, specifically with stuff revolving around my belly, because no one talks about this stuff on the level that we need to,
and the
it's
families
imperative.
that have. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
The families who are struggling like you did, like I did. I mean, I just remember laying in bed awake thinking, I know she's not faking. I have no idea how to help her. And she was in so much pain. And at the time in her life where she should have been thriving, right?
Yeah.
No different for you.
Well, I think too, like girls specifically have much more chemicals coming at them. You have birth control pills, you have feminine care products, perfume, deodorant, hair, makeup. I mean, you name it, it's on our bodies. So for me, like learning about this stuff sucked, right? Because I was like, wow, I know way too much now. This is not fun. But ignorance isn't bliss when you have problems. And a lot of the times too, people are like, I'm sick. It must just be because of what I ate. And sometimes it's not because of what you ate. Sometimes it's because maybe your shower doesn't have a filter, or maybe you're using a product or like, a perfume, or there's an oil in there that doesn't vibe with you. There are a lot of hormones in our food, specifically a lot of estrogen. something like in our food and in our products, you know, something like primrose oil. There's a research study that like if a woman were to use that on her breasts and breastfeed a baby boy, like he would grow breasts. Like it's that concentrated in estrogen. And there's a lot of stuff out there that we're all battling. You know, men now have lower testosterone just because of chemicals, and women, and that's the thing too. It's like we're all crazy. Like women are crazy. Like no, we're not. Like some people have horrific hormone imbalances, and your doctor doesn't test for hormone imbalances. They don't run blood panels. They will literally be like, no, you're fine. Like nothing's wrong. And because we don't practice that kind of healthcare here, we when people get sick, then we're like, oh shit, how do we get you back to kind of being okay? But we don't look at healthy people and go, how do we prevent anything like that from ever happening?
How do we get you even healthier?
Or get you even healthier? Yeah. Like we're all just kind of waiting until we're sick, and then we're like putting ourselves into drive to try to get back over that hump.
Right.
But by the time you're that far gone, like that's a lot of work, you know, and that's really sucks.
It's a lot of work. It sucks. And it can be done.
Yeah.
That's
and it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the body is like amazing.
Yes.
If you just treat it well for like 2 weeks,
it'll thank you.
It'll thank you
over again.
Yeah. And I say to everyone, I'm like, if you could just do something for two weeks, you get up a little early, you drink water, you know, you eat properly, you'll be like, oh my God, in 2 weeks, my inflammation's gone. You know, these urges I'm having aren't as bad. You're like, you start to get excited. And that's what I think Earth Sugar is, that feeling right there when you're like, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, when you've gone from never really taking care of yourself to like starting to be healthy. And you know, that first feeling, like maybe it was your first run and you ran a mile and you're like, oh my God, I ran a mile. Like I can do this. Like that feeling is what I'm trying to create with my products, because a lot of people who eat my bars and my cakes haven't ever had something healthy. You know, they're very addicted to sugar, or they're looking for something sweet that can help them like with those cravings. So when I meet them and I give them this product, they're like, holy cow, a gluten-free thing could taste good. Like I didn't know this could exist. I didn't know healthy could be good. What else could be good? You know?
Yeah.
And then it sends you down that same rabbit hole that happened to me. And I've met customers, like recently I saw one of my customers, Ed, who I first met him way back in October. He lost 75 pounds. And I was like, Ed, where'd you go? He's like, well, you told me if I just eat banana ice cream and I just eat fruits instead of like regular ice cream and this and that, I'd get healthy. And, you know, I made ice cream. He blended bananas in the morning, and he's like, and then I just changed my whole life, and it's all because of you. And I was like, cry. I was like, what? I was like, I didn't know that you were listening to me like that. But that was really cool to see that happen, and to see it now happen with dozens and dozens of my customers being like, now I'm looking at everything else in my kitchen, and, you know, you've helped us fix our whole lives in a way that wasn't fear mongering. It wasn't, you know, I wasn't attacking anybody. I'm never going to tell anyone that I feel like they need to lose weight or to change their lives or to eat better foods or to put those words on that, because we're all on this journey together. Like the only end goal is health and happiness. Like if I'm doing anything to make you feel bad while you're trying to make those decisions, then I'm not doing my job, because, you know, like that's the worst when you go to a personal trainer who has absolutely no education in fitness and nutrition and just got, you know, a NASM certification, which is very, very easy to get. Starts to tell you what to eat and starts to tell you to do bicep curls, and you're like, this sucks. And it's like, that's not health. Like that's not for you. Like go play pickleball, make a set, you know, do something that serves your soul. You don't have to jam yourself into every single, you know, same hole that America likes to do. It's like, here's the way how to do it, and then that's how it has to be done, and that's not
true. Team gluten-free, team paleo, like you said
team
earlier.
It's like,
it doesn't have to be. I mean, those are healthy guidelines and a lot of great suggestions. And still, at the end of the day, we have to be our own greatest advocate.
Yeah, America has. It's so funny. I don't think we have a sugar addiction. America has a restriction addiction. We love to restrict ourselves. We love to restrict our pleasure. We love to go crazy, and then the next day restrict everything. We're like, oh, restricting fun, going back to work, going back to dieting, taking away this. I'm not going out. I'm not going to drink. Blah, blah, blah. Like we're just like, I'm going to restrict. And then it explodes, because obviously like you can't
in a little box.
Yeah. And everyone's in that cycle in one way or another. You know, we get these obsessions, we get stuck in this crazy pattern until we have a mental breakdown. And then we realize that was bad. And then we're like, okay, we're not going to do that. And then the next week we do it again and again and again and again. And it's like this crazy cycle. that could be very, hard and very just, you can't get out of it. And once you can get out of of those cycles and realize how expansive your life can be, if you don't limit yourself and you start to get curious about all of the other foods that are out there, because the American diet is very limited. There's not many things in it that when you go out to a restaurant, it more or less is the same menu, like whenever you go. Salt,
Sugar.
Caesar salad, there's a steak, there's a burger, there's pasta, there's pizza. Where's the buckwheat and the quinoa and the pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and the teff? Like there's so many other ancient grains and fruits and nuts and seeds and vegetables and stuff that, like squash is on any menu. And I'm like, why is no one looking at the vegetable department here? Like there's so many fantastic things that you can do with food that we just don't. Like there's the culinary innovation beyond, once you get, of course, to the fancy restaurants, that's a different story. But the typical day-to-day food of a regular human being or a regular college student, what are you going to eat that's serving you when you go out? Like you can't. There's nothing on Mill Ave that's going to make you feel good and go to class and have a great day.
Wow. I came in dragging my butt today, and I feel like, wow, I'm ready to go now. You are contagious, Jennifer. I love
thank
it.
You.
It's been a fun opportunity to connect with you, and I know you and Daryl had already hit it off, so I'm grateful for Daryl to making sure we had you on today. I've jotted down several introductions. So we'll make sure that we take care of that, and hopefully you'll stay in our sphere.
Oh, definitely.
I know we're going to be circling in yours. How can folks get a hold of the product? Do you ship online as well as the brick and mortar and the farmers markets?
We ship nationwide. www.loveearthsugar.com. If anyone listening wants to order, you can use the code EARTH20. It's 20% off your first purchase, which is great. And then we do a lot of farmers markets. Fridays we're at Carefree. Saturdays, Gilbert, Old Town, Chandler, Roadrunner, Park West. Sundays we're going to do like High Street, Ocotillo. We're still up in Sedona and Flagstaff. We do Sundays up there, and then you can pick up from us from our Tempe location. You're easy to find me. I'm all over the place. Joey's my delivery driver. We're literally going to be all over the state soon. So yeah.
Well, I hope we can help you do that. Love Earth Sugar is kind of the handle on social media, as well as the website loveearthsugar.com. Oh my goodness. So fun. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect with the right people. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean business and Earth Sugar. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.